Good morning, everybody. Good morning to everyone who's joining me this morning. And we're about to start forest bathing. Give me a hi, give me a wave, thumbs up. Let me know who's joining me this morning. I can see that there are 6 people with me so far. And we're about to go. We're about to start in about 5 minutes. We're in a lovely, lovely part of the Tamari National Park. And literally 10 minutes walk behind me, hi Catherine, good morning. 10 minutes walk behind me is the hospital, the local hospital. Hi Sarah, hi Natalie. So I've walked down this path here. It's only just turned to gravel and sand. It was paved about 100 metres back. And it was about a 10-minute walk from where I parked the car. And we can already hear lots of birds. Hi Anne. You can see the sun shining, highlighting the trunks of the trees just over here on my right. Hi Michelle, lovely to see you. Okay, and I pulled up here because there's something rather spectacular here by the side of the track. Now I'm not sure how well you're going to see it. Very noisy birds, they're the rainbow lorikeets. Now can you see that, or is it just blending into the background a little too well? Let me see, there's a spider web right. No, it's almost impossible to see, isn't it? Anyway, I thought I'd stop here and show you the spider web that no one can see. Oh, there, the sun just catches it at that angle. All right, so we're about to dive in along this trail here. And I think so far everyone that's joined knows what happens during these, I don't want to call them a session, for the next half hour while we spend time in the forest together. You saw it, excellent. And let me show you something else, some more wildlife evidence of. Hi Joanne. So I suspect it might be about to rain sometime over the next day or two. This is what the ants do. When rain is on its way, they actually build up the side of their nests as protection against inundation. It doesn't stop drops of water getting straight down into the nest, but it does stop if there's flooding pouring from the ground down into the nest. So some of our local insects and their handiwork. And this is the trail that we're going to walk along this morning. So for anyone who doesn't know, forest bathing is it's a kind of mindfulness. You wouldn't really call it a meditation. It was developed by the Japanese in the 1980s as a remedy to the high-tech lifestyle that they recognised was causing stress and having adverse impacts on people's health. So the Japanese developed a practice called Shinrin Yoku, which literally means to bathe in the forest. Yeah, Michelle, it's interesting, isn't it? So our intention during the next half hour is to really slow down and observe, really take in and focus and connect with our surroundings. And I will attempt to help you do that in my description of where I am, what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing through they say the 5 senses, but realistically it's 4. I don't intend to start eating anything out here and tasting it. But if there's a sense of through, I guess, fragrances that I might experience through taste, I'll try and describe that to you as well. Hi Inga, good morning. Hi Jess, lovely to see you. Alicia, hi. All right, so let's turn the camera around so I can say hi to you all. And that one there. Good morning everyone. Hi from Port Stephens in New South Wales. We're about 2.5 hours north of Sydney. It's a beautiful morning. It's just gone 7 o'clock in the morning, right at the end of our winter for those of you who struggle to understand the north and south seasons. We're just coming to the end of our winter. It's 10 degrees out here this morning, but there's no wind, so it's actually not feeling too uncomfortable. All right, so before we begin, as always, what I'd like to do is acknowledge that we meet today on the traditional land of the Worimi people and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. And lovely to see you from New Zealand, Jess. I think it's been a while since I've seen you. Okay, so from here on in for the next half hour, I won't acknowledge the chat. I will read it, so if anything comes up that I can attend to at the end, I certainly will. But for the next half hour, I will simply describe what I'm experiencing and invite you to try to imagine that you are experiencing what I'm describing. So let's begin. So we're walking along a sandy trail, and I'm taking stock of my presence within my landscape. So from my feet, I feel the softness, the give, the cushioned effect of the trail against the soles of my shoes. Where it's uneven, I can feel the ridges press against the soles of my feet. It's very soft, it has lots of give, and my feet sink slightly into the soil, into the sand as I walk. Moving up, I've chosen a path that's flat and level, so there's no resistance against my legs. I'm not having to exert undue force to walk the path. I interrupt my awareness of myself because I've noticed by the side of the track something that I want to go in closer to have a look at. The first hint of spring in this beautiful pink flower, ever so tiny, just emerges from the ground. And a brighter one behind it. 4 pink fingers. While I'm down low, I take a moment to observe the shape of the fern leaves which dominate the path. Those pink flowers spotted here and there. Two very close together. I resume and take up observing my physical state as I walk. There's no wind, so I'm not feeling the air against my skin at the moment as I might otherwise. So I turn my attention outwards to the sounds of the forest. The dominant sound is of the birds. Several different kinds, from all angles. Not visible, hidden amongst the undergrowth, but very much audible. I remind myself to remember to look in close at the textures and colours and the shapes as I walk along the trail. From long, thin, strappy grasses to twisted, dead branches. I notice where something has been digging. I wonder what. What could it be? Evidence of wildlife. It's a mystery. Here a fern unfurling. The tiny little ends of the tips of the leaf. Not yet open. Contrasting against the smallness, this giant of the forest. I investigate its height. And return. Strands of bark have caught my eye. Bark lying on the ground, the different colours, pale against red. The instantly recognisable call of the magpie grabs my attention. While I pause to come in close to these stunningly beautiful bright golden flowers. Just little tips of red in amongst the gold. The laughter of a kookaburra interrupts my train of thought. Small birds whose twitters I don't recognise. And again, these teeny tiny, beautiful little pink, delicate flowers by the side of the trail. There's a white one. I slow my pace even further. The sand slows me down, forcing me to slow even more. Up ahead, another eucalyptus tree. Majestic. Alongside the trail. Another plant catches my eye. The rough, almost ugly seed pod of a banksia. Spindly. And its sawtooth leaves. Soft on the underside, smooth and glossy on the upper side, contrasting dramatically with the almost felt feel of the underside of the leaf and the sawtooth edge. I try to see further into the depths of the forest. I try to see beyond the immediate bushes into its depths. Almost a protective screen hides what lies behind. Different colours of the leaves emerge. The outliers, red leaves on a green bush. And then I've suddenly noticed this vine entwined amongst the foliage. Is this a symbiosis? Is it a parasite? Is it opportunism? I pause to look up again. Above my head, a termite mound. The round, dark bulge, home to thousands of living beings. The sun peeks through between the trunks of the trees. Casting light on the leaves, brightening the green, forming silhouettes. Nature has returned to the path in the form of grasses, opportunistically taking over where once vehicles passed. The sound of a kookaburra again breaks the silence. I turn to look back from where we've come. A trail fading into the distance, straight, undulating. The sun catches small spider webs. at the tips of this branch, causing them to glow and glisten. And I notice a little grouping of these little pink flowers again. The rainbow lorikeets, noisy. The shape of a fallen tree being absorbed into the forest, providing life for the next generation. And communities of small creatures that live amongst it. Once again, I take stock of my physical presence, feeling my feet against the path, against the sand, sometimes sinking, sometimes meeting resistance. My fingertips are warm, my face is cool. I focus my listening on the sounds of the forest and pause to take in another wondrous shaped tree. It's like twins, like the Gemini that appears to be two trunks merged together. And all at once the flannel flowers have appeared. First sighting. Promise of flowers yet to emerge. So close to blooming, so close to opening, but just not quite there. A fallen tree. The shapes, the twists, the colour. Beauty in death. Something has caught my eye by the side of the trail, a different flower, a mass of magenta. fun of it, the different colours, the different shades of these little flowers here, first of all, beside something quite different. So delicate. A larger plant of the same variety in behind. I want to see inside its shape. It's almost like it's shy. It doesn't want to be seen, it's pointing to the ground. Carefully I watch where I place my feet. I do not wish to stomp on any of these beautiful flowers. Another rough-barked tree with bulges, termites in the upper branches, next to another smooth-barked tree. Tucked in behind a palm. The different textures, I observe the different textures, a palm on my right, a grass tree on my left, and the smooth bark of the eucalyptus in between, pointing towards the sky. The sun casts its glow on these yellow flowers. The brightness of the yellow, almost impossible to capture because it's so bright. And I turn once more to see the trail we've come along. I spy more flannel flowers. Let's see if they're open. I try to concentrate on my smell. There's been nothing remarkable to capture my sense of smell. So I try to discern if there's anything that stands out. Take in deep breaths. I've seen more flannel flowers while I do. There's one that's almost open. Can I get closer to it? My path is blocked by more fallen branches. Come in close to inspect the texture of this eucalyptus tree and where there's potential invasion. I try not to trip over as a branch captures my foot. I try not to laugh at the comments. It's lucky it's near the end. A completely different flower captures my attention. Minuscule once more. I'm captivated by this tree. Almost begs. It's almost begging me to hold it, to touch it. Something so sensual about the shapes and the bulges. Smooth, so smooth and so cool, almost cold to the touch. Incredible texture. All right, I think we'll close off the mindfulness part of it here. Lovely to have you on board, Gregory. You always add humour. You always add humour to the sessions, don't you? The bird sounds were beautiful this morning, weren't they? Inga, Joanne, Natalie, absolutely gorgeous. And I'm still trying to see an open flannel flower. They just seem to be taking so long to open. They've been sitting like this as buds for what seems like weeks now. I have spotted another flower over there though. I wonder if I can get to it. Let me see. Without bush bashing. I don't like stomping, as Greg said. I don't like stomping through the undergrowth where there's no marked trail because I don't want to damage anything. But look, here we go. And this flower has a name that I can never ever remember. But I think its common name is actually something like drumstick. You're welcome, Natalie. I'm glad you enjoy it, as always. Here's the new bud. Hasn't opened yet. You're very welcome, Inga. I love this track too. I really do. It's there's nothing challenging about it, because that's not what we want. We want something that's welcoming. It's an easy path to walk along with lots of interest along the way, and I really love it here. No buffering, yes, Natalie, absolutely. I'd be surprised because we're very close to a hospital. I mean, if in theory, we would hope that being close to a hospital would mean that the signal should be good, but you just never know. You just never know. All right, I'm heading back towards where I'm parked, and I'm happy to have you along all the way. I'm going to show you where I spotted koala scat last week while I was testing this path, and we'll all look up and we'll see if we get lucky. Here's another flannel flower, still not open. You're too shy for the tree hugging, but you know, what do they say? If it happens and no one sees, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears, if it happens and no one sees, did it actually happen? We're out here all on our own. Come on, Gregory, come and join me. Come and join me. Come on, let's have a little hug together. Little group hug. Hang on. Let me see, can I get in here? Here we go. Have a little group hug with this tree here. Look, there we go. Did we all get a hug? So, the koala hospital is, oh my goodness. I was working one-on-one with Lila, replenishing her leaf. She's an old girl. She's not one of these koalas that as soon as the leaf comes into the yard starts running around and saying, feed me, feed me. She's just placidly sitting there, letting you work around her. Of course, the highly undignified part of the whole experience is counting their poos. and they like to have more than 100 is the expected amount, is what I'm told. You have to count them and sweep their yard and fill up their water and rotate the leaves. They get a variety of different leaves. They get eucalyptus robusta, they get melaleuca, bloodwood. What else was there? There was about 5 different varieties. I'll get to them. I'll get to learn them all. And some have long, thin leaves, and some have rounded leaves, and some are smooth on one side and rough on the other. And I have to learn all this. There was one lady there who was bitten by one of the koalas last week, so she had a big band-aid on her thumb. They're not obnoxiously smelly like meat-eating animals. They're not too smelly really, and they're quite firm. So you have gloves on and you pick them up, and you know it's not like they're squishy or anything. This is getting a bit graphic, isn't it? So it's not too terrible a job to do that. And yeah. And then I went and helped out in another yard that had 2 koalas in it. It's quite a big yard, so the koalas are more active and they're able to climb. They have trees that they can actually climb up in, whereas Lila has, it's called a gunya. It's like a roof over some deliberately placed and screwed together branches for her climbing. These other ones actually have trees that they can go up into. Let me see, feeling it every bit as good as koala. Oh, Gregory, I always rely on you to lift the mood. Group hug for all of us. Yep, excellent. I can hear another kookaburra. It's off in the distance, so you might not be able to hear it. And the beautiful magpies. Yeah, so I'm really excited by the opportunity to work at the Koala Hospital, and as I get to know people there a little bit better, the CEO and the president seem to be really nice people, so I want to, not on the first day, obviously. Oh, those magpies, they're just beautiful. Once I get to know them a little better, I will broach the subject as to whether they would permit me to do some kind of streaming from there, obviously sensitively and telling their story in a sympathetic way and all of that. They had a brush-tailed possum had just come in that was stuck under a gate actually on the property. So when the vet nurse arrived that morning, she found this brush-tailed possum with a joey in the pouch stuck under the gate. So she had to rescue mum, and she wasn't able to use her back legs, and so she was in the hospital. They don't just look after koalas, other wildlife, if it comes in, they care for as well. So at the moment they have a brush-tailed possum, a ring-tailed possum, a swamp wallaby, an owl, all in the ICU. And some of the koalas will remain on site in the sanctuary. There's a sanctuary attached. And you can actually stay there. There's glamping accommodation, quite prestige, high-priced accommodation. There's a pool, there's a restaurant. So that's over the other side, and that helps to fund the operation. They've got some really good equipment there, X-ray equipment and various other things. Yeah, same, Michelle. It was on a trail that was. This trail is where he came along. It's not sandy. It's more gravel. So that's where he came along. Whereas we were off on the side track, which is more sandy. Not really ideal for motorbikes. So this is all. Let's see here. Forest trails. We're at the Anna Bay Boreline Forest Trail, where it meets the Shaw Bay Boreline Forest Trail or Fire Trail. And over here we've got these trails are, because it's national park, they have trails through them where the what do you call it? The bushfire brigades can come down and have access to in case there's fire. And we're actually expecting that this season could be a bad one for fire, for bushfires. We've had 3 years of cooler, wetter weather, which has allowed the undergrowth to really grow and flourish. It also means that there's a lot of leaves and bark and that sort of thing building up on the ground. So there's a lot of fuel, a lot of potential fuel in the forest at the moment, which is always worrying. So and this area hasn't burnt for a while. So we're all a little bit nervous about what this summer is going to be like for all of us. Let me just get my battery out. Sorry, I just got a battery warning. Live streaming really chews up the battery. Okay, put that in there. Turn it on here. Sorry people. And of course I caught up with Whiskey yesterday. Some of you might have seen the photo that I put into the Going Places group. I had a coffee with Whiskey yesterday. He's not intending to come back to live stream touring. He really enjoyed it while... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to plug this in. Hang on. Get in there. Is that in? Sorry guys, I know it's bouncing the camera around and it's annoying. I just can't do this one-handed. Hopefully that's charging again now. What have I missed? It's really, really interesting, Michelle. It's really cool. And worst case scenario, absolutely worst case scenario, is I'll go in as a paying customer and I'll do a tour of the koala sanctuary. As a senior, I do get a slightly discounted entry. I was just really hoping that I might be able to tell the hospital story as well. So I don't want to jump the gun on that. What's Inga saying? Hope we can someday see the koalas in one of your trips. Yeah, I definitely plan to. It's just how I do it. And I'm constantly on the lookout. Everywhere I go, this is koala habitat around here. They're really hard to see, even when you know that they're there. Like when I was at the koala hospital, I knew that there were two in this one yard. One was down low, the other one was quite high up in the tree. And I stood there looking and looking and looking, and someone had to point her out to me. And then it just, oh, right, okay, there she is. They're not easy. Europe has been horrible. Greece, my goodness, Canada. That event in Hawaii is just horrific. And every single one of these that happens, Australians totally understand what every single one of you is going through. I've been close to or lived in the area affected by bushfire on at least 6 occasions. One time we evacuated because there was a remote chance that our house was in the path of fire, and the winds the next day were expected to be very strong. So we did evacuate one time. Another time we were on vacation down at Bateman's Bay, and the road was cut off on our intended route heading back to Sydney, and we had to detour via Canberra. There was a chance that it was going to close as well. So there was the chance that we were going to be stuck in Bateman's Bay. The sky, my God, the colour of the sky on that occasion. So, and then there was another time where I took my brother up. I left my work, which is half an hour away, in a suburb called Artarmon, because I could see on the skyline, and I knew that was in the direction of where we lived. That was my parents' house. Raced home, grabbed my teenage, at the time, brother. I said, bushfire's coming. He said, no, it isn't. I said, yeah, it is. Come with me. And I took him up to a spot where you stand quite high on an exposed rock, looking out over the bush. And I said, 10 minutes ago, I was standing there, and it was actually covered with, the fire was already there. He went, oh. And we spent the rest of the day evacuating people at the end of our street. So, yeah, we've always lived in areas that are not far from the bush. And you just never know. You just never know when you're going to be impacted. But you just have to be sensible about it as well. So this is the hospital over here on my left. To be honest, Michelle, though, I would rather my house is burnt down than affected by flood. When the floods went through places like Brisbane and Lismore, and they go like halfway up the side of your house isn't destroyed, all your stuff is, and it takes months to rectify. I don't know, I think I'd rather just lose my house completely in a fire. You can always rebuild, and at the end of the day it's just stuff. As long as the people are safe and can get out, I think I'd rather take the fire than the flood. This is where I saw scat on the ground last time. It was just along this path here, literally between the hospital and next to this paved road. And every time I come along here now, actually I'm looking up there at a hollow where there's a rainbow lorikeet. Looks like they could be nesting up there. Let me see if you can see it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Just coming into the centre of the screen now, there's a hollow. The bird just flew away from it, but it was around at the end of that hollow. Yeah, look, I guess it's horses for courses, isn't it, Michelle? It's the mould and the damp and the smell and everything that you have to live with afterwards that I really wouldn't be too happy with. Anyway, each to their own. It all affects people in different ways, and yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons why I've been divesting myself of stuff as well. I don't want to be too attached to stuff. That's just me. All right, so here we are back at my car. How did you go? Did you enjoy the walk? Let's have a look up here. Let's see if we see any furry butts today. I'm going to have a little bit of a look around. I didn't see any scat on the ground, and I heard a koala grunting at the koala hospital, so we know what the sound is like if we hear a koala grunting. Okay, all right everyone. Well, thank you all for joining. I'm going to turn the camera around. Let me see. There we go. That was our forest bathing for today. I hope you found it relaxing and enjoyable. And yeah, happy to have conversations always, Michelle. There's no right answer to anything, is there? Again, it's always how things affect you personally and how you deal with them, either, I guess, voluntarily or involuntarily. And we all have our own responses and answers to that, don't we? What else have I got coming up? We're going to go out where we know there is a koala, and there's the sculpture trail with the Gillian Mark 2 sculptures there, and the dolphins, and what else have they got out there? There's various pieces. There's about half a dozen pieces of sculpture out there at the marina, and we know that there's a koala there, and I've seen the scat, and again we just have to look up and hope we get lucky. So I'm going to do that on Tuesday. Hopefully you can join me for that, and in the meantime I'm still scouting, still thinking about which ones we'd like to go back to and do again. I tested the signal out on the sand dunes and it was a bit iffy, so I'm not really sure whether to give that a go or not. And I also may do the ferry across to Tea Gardens with a chance of seeing dolphins. So keep an eye out for all of those. And in the meantime, there's a couple of festivals coming up that we may get a chance to have a look at as well. And gardens. There's coming into spring, I think I've identified a garden that might have an open day, so we might be able to do something there too. Alrighty, thanks so much everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's have one last look at this tree. We're not just going to spot it out of the blue, I know that. Unless it's running down a branch, we are not just going to spot it out of the blue. So anyway, one day we'll get lucky. We know they're here somewhere. One day we'll get lucky. Thanks everyone. See you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.